I'd say I'm sorry for disappearing off the face of YouTube again, but honestly, by now, you guys should be used to it. I don't mean to disappear all the time, even though I keep saying, oh yeah, I'm gonna get back to YouTube. I'm doing the same with Twitch right now. Oh yeah, I'll be streaming next weekend, and it's been 3 weeks since I've streamed again. I'm just really bad at managing these things. Hello to those that are still watching my channel. To those that don't know me yet, my name is Tasha, also known as Fairy Drugs. For this video, I thought I would sum up the books that I have read so far in 2019. I know we're closer to the end of 2019, and you might think, what long-ass video is that gonna be? It's not gonna be that long. I've only read 22 books. Some of these books I am gonna rush through some reviews or just say, hey, I read this, it was okay, and then move on to the next one, because I'm not gonna remember a lot of the books that I read at the beginning of this year. I don't know if I mentioned this in one of the videos that I filmed at the beginning of this year, but I did read The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. I started it in 2018 and then finished it at the beginning of this year. This is a fantasy book about a circus the Night Circus, that appears at very random times, and it's very mysterious and you don't really know where it's going to appear next. There's a competition or a challenge between two characters, and I really enjoyed this. I gave this 5 stars. I thoroughly enjoyed it, even though it took me a while to read. It's very slow burn storytelling. There's a lot of build up. It just feels very magical, and I loved the writing style. I loved the storytelling. Next, I read History Is All You Left Me by Adam Silvera. Adam Silvera is known for writing very sad books, and again, this was a very sad book. I really enjoyed it. This is one of the books where I can't really say a lot because I don't remember a lot. I did give it 4 stars. I also read 30 Day Boyfriend by Whitney G. This was a very short book. I'm not even sure if it was a novella, actually. It is new adult, so it was kind of sexy. It was okay. I give it 2 stars. It wasn't that amazing or anything. It was just a quick, fun read. I listened to the audiobook of Sadie by Courtney Summers. Incredible audiobook. I don't really listen to audiobooks a lot anymore. I just don't have the attention span for them at the moment. But this one was so well done. There was a full cast for all the characters, and just the way the story was told was really fun and interesting. It was a mix between the main character, Sadie, telling her story, and I think it was a podcast trying to find out what happened to Sadie. This was a YA mystery. It was very interesting. I'm reading this off Goodreads right now. There are trigger warnings for pedophilia, rape, murder, blood, drug abuse. There's a lot going on in this book. I gave it 4 stars. Very fun audiobook to listen to. I read Make Much of You by Kayla Bash. This is another book I can't really say a lot about. I don't remember a lot about it. It does feature a female-female relationship. There is a trigger warning for abuse and drug abuse. Like I said, I don't remember a lot about this book. It was pretty short, I think, but it just didn't leave that much of an impact on me. I gave it 3 stars. I also read A Study in Charlotte by Brittany Cavallaro. This is a modern retelling of Sherlock Holmes, except it's about the actual descendants of Sherlock Holmes and John Watson. It's about Charlotte Holmes and Jamie Watson. If it isn't obvious, it's a mystery. And this was also a lot of fun to read. I can't wait to continue the series. I really wanted to continue it immediately, but I don't have the next books in the series. I think there are 4 books in the series. And I'm trying to not buy books right now because I still own so many to read. They try to solve some mysterious things happening on campus, and I think it's in America. Connecticut, yeah. So there are trigger warnings for addiction, drug abuse, murder, I think sexual abuse. I definitely recommend this. I gave it 4 stars. And this cover is just so beautiful. I love it. I love the colors. I read Water Runs Red by Jenna Claire. Jenna is a fellow booktuber and she brought out her poetry book. Was it this year? 2019. It came out this year. Yeah, so this is a poetry collection and oh, it was amazing. I haven't read a lot of poetry, but I love the way that Jenna wrote this. What I really, really loved is that a lot of her photography is featured in there as well. So it's not just words, there's like her photography in there. She did an amazing job of putting her photography and her poems together. It just works so well. And it's actually sort of a story that's being told through the poems. She does have trigger warnings right in the beginning of the book. I will read them if anyone wants to know. Depression, mental health issues, religion, Christianity, God, colonization of America, blood and injury, asexuality, body image issues, ignorant old white men, toxic friendships, the devil, and 2016. I gave this 5 stars. I thoroughly enjoyed reading this, and I see myself flipping through this again and again in the future. I listened to the audiobook of What If It's Us by Becky Albertalli and Adam Silvera, and I was very curious about this book because, like I mentioned in the beginning of this video, or earlier with one of the books, Adam Silvera is known for writing very sad books that just make you want to die, not die, but like cry and just slip in a hole of depression. And Becky Albertalli usually writes like very happy and just feel-good books, at least in my opinion, the ones that I have read by her. And so I was very curious about how this book was going to turn out, and I really enjoyed it. There were 2 narrators. There's a dual perspective in this book. This book is about Arthur and Ben. They have a meet cute in a post office. I really, really enjoyed this book. I really enjoyed the audiobook. I gave this 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. And yeah, that's all I have to say. I read Girlhood by Kat Clark. I don't remember a lot about this book. It's about this group of girls at I think it was an all-girls boarding school or just a school. I can't really say a lot about this book. I'm sorry. I don't remember a lot about it. I did give it 4 stars, so I did enjoy it. There was some mystery aspect to it, though I don't think it is classified as a mystery book. It's a YA contemporary. There are LGBT themes in this. I'm pretty sure the main character is bi or a lesbian. Okay, this next book I was interested in for so long. It was on my wish list for months and months, maybe even a year, I don't know. And eventually I finally bought a used copy, and that is Brain on Fire by Susanna Cahalan. I think that's how you pronounce it, Cahalan. This is a nonfiction book, and this is about Susanna and her month of madness. She is 23 years old, I think, 24 years old when this happens, and she starts developing these very weird symptoms, and her health just goes downhill very fast, and the doctors can't figure out what's going on with her. And what was really interesting, I feel weird about saying this was interesting because this is something that actually happened to a person. She's all better now. They did figure out what would happen to her. It was just a very interesting read because in the beginning she does say she's an unreliable source. That's what she calls herself. Because something happened to her brain and she doesn't really remember a lot of what happened in that time. I really enjoyed reading this book. I gave this book 4 stars. I really, really enjoyed it, and I definitely recommend it if you enjoy nonfiction books like this. After that, I went on a manga binge. I read 6 volumes of Detective Conan. I don't know if the English name of this is different. I'm reading these in German. I've started collecting these. To those who don't know, there are a lot of volumes out in this series. I think it's up to 90, almost 100 volumes. but I used to enjoy this series, the manga series and the anime, so much when I was younger. I really enjoy the series, and it's just very fun to be back in this. It's just very nostalgic because this was my absolute favorite series when I was younger. I also listened to the audiobook of Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Did I get that in the right order? I did. This book was so hyped up back when it came out. Everyone was talking about it. Everyone was loving it. So I immediately bought the audiobook because people said the audiobook was really good, and I listened to it. I did enjoy it, but sadly, I think my expectations were just too high because of all of the hype. It was very fun and a very interesting way of storytelling. It's told through like interviews. It takes place in the 70s, and it's about like a rock band and how they kind of came together and their success, and then the downfall. It was a very fun audiobook to listen to. It was a full cast for these characters. My expectations were too high because of all the hype, and it just didn't feel that amazing to me like it did to so many other people. I gave it 3 stars. I do recommend it. It is a very good book in my opinion. I also read You by Caroline Kepnes. Last year, the TV show came out. I really enjoyed the show, and I wanted to read the book. I gave this 3 stars. What's very interesting about this book is that it's told in second person. So this guy, Joe, he follows around this girl, Genevieve, or also called Beck, and it's from his perspective as he's like telling the story, like, you did this and you went there and you talked to me, and it's very creepy, very disturbing. Since I already had seen the show, I kind of knew what was happening. I did buy the second book with this first book because I thought I was gonna read both of them, but then after I finished this one, I looked into the reviews of the second book and they weren't so great, so I don't think I'm actually gonna read the second book. I did enjoy this. I gave it 3 stars. In an Absent Dream by Shawna McGuire. I love this series so much, the Wayward Children series. I loved all the books in this series, and I really enjoyed this one. The series is about children that find their door into the world that is like home to them. Worlds like Narnia or Wonderland, and this just tells another story of a child that found their world. I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. And I did see that there's another book coming out. I thought it was 4 books, but there's a 5th one coming out. This book was a very random purchase. I just saw it at the bookstore and decided to pick it up. No One Is Too Small to Make a Difference by Greta Sundberg. This girl has been all over my Twitter and apparently the news. I don't watch the news, but my mom and my grandma know about her as well. I just get all my news on Twitter. This book is a collection of all the speeches she's held. Yeah, I gave this 3 stars. I read Girls of Paper and Fire by Natasha Nan. This is a fantasy book. The Demon King in this world, every year he chooses 10 girls as his paper girls, and they have to basically serve him. So at the beginning of the book, it does give trigger warnings for violence and sexual abuse. There is a female-female relationship in this book, which I actually did not know before I started it, but I was very pleasantly surprised about that. I really enjoyed this book. I gave it 4 stars, very excited for the second book, and I actually met Natasha Nan at YLCA and got this copy signed, and we had a little chat about us having the same first name, and I told her I mostly go by Tasha. My full name is Natasha, but I, like, online and mostly with English-speaking folks, I go by Tasha. And she told me she loves that nickname, and she lives in France, and her nickname is mostly Nat. So we had a little chat about that. The last book I've finished for this year so far is Heartstopper Volume 1 by Alice Oseman. This is a comic/graphic novel. It's about Nick and Charlie, them becoming friends and falling in love, and it's very cute, it's very beautiful. I love Alice's drawings, and I read this in 1 sitting. I desperately want the second volume, but like I said, I'm trying to not buy books. I give this 5 stars. I fell in love with this story. So those were all the books that I've read in 2019 so far. We still have 2.5 months to go. We'll see if I manage to finish another few books. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let's talk down in the comments. Let me know what you thought of some of these books. Maybe tell me what you're reading at the moment. Hopefully this won't be my last video of the year. I will try and film more videos. I do miss it. I miss being on BookTube. The seasonal depression is hitting me hard. It's not even like winter or anything, and I do like fall, but it's just been raining nonstop here in Germany, and all I'm doing is sitting on my couch watching TV shows. I started watching RuPaul's Drag Race, and I can just feel myself getting totally immersed in it and not doing anything else. So I'm forcing myself to take pauses in between episodes and like do some reading. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this video. Hopefully I'll see you again in another video. And thank you for watching. Goodbye!